Name me one anti-Semitic person.
I say that
you can't.
The Jewish organized
David, how can you think you're not anti-Semitic? How could you possibly think that? You think the Jews control the world? That's anti-Semitism 101.
So the New York Times published a verifiable lie about Cenk Uygur, and this is stemming from his run for Congress. So I think most of you now know that Cenk Uygur is running for Katie Hill's old seat in California's 25th district. They had a story about this, and it was mostly concerning how Bernie Sanders had pulled his endorsement from Cenk, though Cenk, it was kind of like this two-parter kind of thing where Cenk rescinded all endorsements because of all the misinformation that was coming out about him, and he didn't want to put that on the people that had endorsed him. So he rescinded all endorsements. So by contrast, or because of that, Bernie Sanders pulled his endorsement. But so they had a whole story about this, and the amount of misinformation in this is incredible. I'm just going to read one paragraph here, and this really gives you an idea of how they painted this entire article, or how they painted Cenk in this entire article, and I'm going to show you proof that they are lying here. So the New York Times say here, Mr. Uygur, a longtime supporter of Mr. Sanders, has also disparaged former President Barack Obama on his show, argued that bestiality should be legal, and hosted a white supremacist figures, including David Duke. In one clip that circulated on Twitter, Mr. Duke ends an interview by saying, quote, "I am not what you call a racist," to which Mr. Uygur replies, "No, of course not." All right. All of this here is painted in a way to make Cenk sound terrible. And the last piece in particular is just a complete lie. First, they say, Cenk disparaged Barack Obama instead of saying he has been critical of him, like when Barack Obama decided not to prosecute anybody on Wall Street after the financial crisis, or when Barack Obama pushed for the Affordable Care Act, a private insurance-based system as opposed to a single-payer system, or when Barack Obama put cutting Social Security on the table in talks with Republicans. These are all issues where Cenk was on the side of the people, and he was criticizing Obama because Obama was giving into massive corporations or wealthy donor interests. So, this is not disparaging. This is being critical of somebody when they are not fighting for people. On the bestiality front, I mean, if you watch the clip, it's done jokingly. It's done in like a talk radio style, tongue-in-cheek manner. It's not a big deal. And then the quote, "No, of course not," to David Duke saying he isn't racist during their interview. Let me show you this. Okay, so actually, before I show you this, Kyle Klinsky shared a series of clips on Twitter that are taken from Cenk's long interview with David Duke. And this gives you an idea of what the interview was actually like.
Name me one anti-Semitic person.
I say that
you can't.
The Jewish organized
David, how can you think you're not anti-Semitic? How could you possibly think that? You think the Jews control the world? That's anti-Semitism 101.
I'll give you another quotation.
Kagan is on the Supreme Court, but so is Sotomayor, and she's definitely not Jewish. She's Latina. I mean, Kagan made it onto the Supreme Court, but so is Sotomayor. Those are two picks by Obama. Sotomayor, clearly not Jewish. In fact, what is it? I think 7 out of the 9 justices are Catholic. Oh my God, the Catholics have taken over the Supreme Court. Watch out, David. Watch out. It's the Catholics that are the problem. But then you've got the Koch brothers who buy all these politicians. They're not Jewish. How does that fit into your conspiracy theory? So, I mean, you keep saying Goldman Sachs, but before Blankfein, the head of Goldman Sachs was Hank Paulson. Christian extraordinaire. The biggest political contributor in the country is not Sheldon Adelson. It is David and Charles Koch. They are enormously Christian. They're Christian. If you built everything, but somehow you don't have power anymore, and you can't even get into the schools you built, why are you guys such losers?
All right. I think you could got to take from that what this interview was like. It was incredibly combative. Cenk Uygur just utterly destroyed David Duke. Now, before I show you the of course not portion of this, let me just show you also, David Duke has been on NBC News, ABC, CNN. To give you an example, I'm not going to show you the clip, but I'll link to it below the video. Here, NBC News posted a 40-second clip of David Duke simply giving his opinion on Donald Trump and how Donald Trump will take the country back. Didn't push back on David Duke at all. This is simply platforming David Duke's opinion, giving him 40 seconds of a free clip. Here's what David Duke thinks. No pushback, nothing. CNN interviewed him a few years ago. This was non-combative. You can watch the interview. Again, I'll also link to this below. Watch the interview. It's non-combative. It's, David Duke gives his thoughts, and then Smirkanish gives his thoughts. Like, this is the way mainstream press normally interviews people is not the way that Cenk Uygur interviews someone like David Duke. So Cenk actually, has strong opinions, and he's not going to hold himself back. He's actually going to fight. If you are wrong about something, especially if you are a crazy racist idiot, then he's going to push back against you. And you saw that in that series of clips. Now, let me show you the part that CNN or that the New York Times quoted here saying that Cenk said, "No, of course not," to David Duke saying he isn't racist. Watch how this all unfolds. So this is near the very end. Actually, this is the very end of the interview. You're going to see the back and forth. Cenk Uygur at this point multiple times has tried to end the interview, which is why you're going to see his body language and everything showcase that. So watch how this interview ends.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing that I don't do many national interviews anymore. I think the reason is because my arguments are very compelling to an awful lot of people. If they sit down and think about what they say, I think they'll be really surprised.
Okay.
And by the way, I want to make this clear too. I am not what you call a racist.
No,
I am not. Because I believe that every people have the right to seek the things that they love, the things that they appreciate, their values, their people, their interests. And I believe that every nation has a right to be free and independent. That's not what the Zionists think.
Okay,
the Zionists
this
who
is not a
control
white
our
nation.
Foreign policy
This is
want
not
to
a Christian
subjugate
nation.
the entire world.
This
They're
is not a
trying
white
to
or
almost
Christian
create a war with Russia today, which would be
This
insane.
is a secular nation.
But that's what they're doing.
This is a secular
And we have to break ourselves through this. And I think the
Okay,
Second
all right,
World
we gotta
War
go. We gotta go.
was
All
because
right.
of. All right.
Okay, David, again, third time. Thank you. We appreciate it, and take care.
Anytime, if you want to ever have me back on and talk about a specific issue like Donald Trump, we could talk a half an hour about.
I'm positive you could.
What's going on there?
I'm positive you could.
So
Okay.
and I think that's got to be discussed. And
All right. That's how the interview ended. They faded to black while David Duke was talking because he could not shut up. What happened here is David Duke clearly felt embarrassed. So, some people have their various tics when they feel, nervous or embarrassed. David Duke doesn't stop talking. So he just went on and on and on after he just got completely destroyed by Cenk Uygur. And they fade to black, clearly mocking him. And Cenk's no, of course not, to David Duke saying he wasn't racist. Clearly, Cenk wasn't serious. But the New York Times took that out of context to make it sound like, oh, Cenk Uygur agrees with David Duke. I mean, at this point, if you're subscribed to the New York Times, if you pay this company money, if you give this paper money, cancel. I would cancel. I mean, I haven't been sub to them, but if I was, I would cancel. How can you possibly trust if the New York Times now, and there's some pushback on this for days, and they haven't retracted. They haven't apologized. They haven't said anything about it. How can you possibly trust what the New York Times puts out if they allow this to go out, even after they've been proven to simply be pushing a lie? It's unbelievable. Now, I guess the silver lining here is that this has appeared to backfire. So a follower of mine shared this saying, looks like the smear may have backfired a little bit. Check out these numbers Cenk's team just emailed out. So this is part of the email from Cenk 2020 saying, I asked for your help in fighting back against these attacks, and you delivered in a big way. Since Thursday night, we raised well over $150,000 from more than 6,200 contributors. We had an average donation of just $23. Almost 3,300 people contributed to our campaign for the first time. 320 new people signed up for recurring donations, and over 500 new people signed up to volunteer. So I guess this is the one benefit to media misinformation in this day and age. A lot of people are awake. A lot of people are aware. A lot of people dig into the actual facts and are able to tell you when the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, whoever, can tell you when they are lying because they actually dig into the information themselves. So I'm going to link to cenk2020.com below the video. Donate to his campaign, volunteer, get involved, and help Cenk Uygur win this seat in Congress.